Hey everyone, Max Stevens, leading worldwide sales here at Upwind, here at RSA in our beautiful high tide house. I'm here with the VP of Product Security at Sprinklr, Eli Erlikhman. One thing I really appreciate about Eli over getting to know each other over the course of the last 18 months is, from our first conversation, this deep, fundamental understanding of how things work and how things have evolved and changed over time. So I think the first thing I'd like to do today is start to tell us a little about your, career history, trajectory, what you've done, all the way up to, kind of what you're doing today.
Awesome. First of all, awesome to be here. Really happy. So I've done a lot of different things in my career. I started as an embedded developer building hardware security modules. And I've done development for about 8 years in my life. Then I moved on in various cybersecurity roles at the banks, where it was still called information security, not cybersecurity. I did a few startups, and I did 10 years in consulting at a company, Digital and Synopsys, helping organizations worldwide mature their product security and application security. And for the last 2.5 years, I've been running product security at Sprinklr, and it's been an amazing journey, and it's been an amazing partnership so far here with Upwind.
Yeah. And so I would like to talk about your digital days, because obviously you're, a consultancy at that time. You're dealing with pen testing, all types of services. What were some of the big, lessons as you think about, that experience versus moving into your sort of core, VP product security for one company versus, I'm assuming, many companies that you're talking to.
So it actually helped me a lot. We obviously did a lot of pen testing, but that was not our differentiator. The differentiator for me was helping organizations worldwide to build and improve their programs and help them in their maturity journey. So it gave me an opportunity to see all the way from some of the biggest companies in the world across financial and other industries, as well as how do startups work and how they mature their product security programs.
Yeah, that was actually, outside of when we talk about the differences in how different companies approach things and program maturity, that was one of our initial conversations. So
Exactly.
on that note, how do you think cloud security has evolved? Where do you see it starting? Where do you see it leaving from, and where do you see it going?
Very good question. So it started with the agent approach, right?
Which most people don't get. I think most people don't actually realize that.
Yeah, it started with agents a while back. And the reason for those agents was similar to why you have agents on the endpoint, is to help you with detection and response.
Hmm.
The challenges there was that those agents were not very good. They didn't necessarily have the full visibility.
Hmm.
And we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But also, they didn't provide the security posture management. So then the organization started to switch to agentless, right? And agentless approach was easier to implement, easier to roll out. The old agents from a long time ago were hard to roll out. And agentless gave you a lot of a view into what's happening in your environment, which is really, really useful. But however, if you think about what's been happening over the last few years, the speed of development is just skyrocketing. And it's only getting faster and faster with the AI native coding development. So me, who spent majority of my life being on defense, on being on proactive side, I started to realize that it's not feasible to stay on top of what all the engineers are building.
Hmm.
It's necessary, but it's not sufficient. So you do need to have very strong detection and response capabilities. And that's when the shift went back to detection and response and runtime security, because now the sensors, not agents, are using a much better technology, which is ePBF. And that gives you unprecedented visibility in what's happening runtime in your environment. So now, to me, the approach has to be both. You have to have runtime visibility with ePBF sensors, and you have to have agentless scanning so that you have full visibility how your environment is running, as well as what your posture management is.
Yeah, and so eBPF is obviously not specific to Upwind, and
No.
everyone can use it. Why is eBPF versus legacy agents different? What do you see in your mind? In my mind, I see performance issues, rolling out stuff. Anything else that you?
So, first of all, ePBF is not new. It's been around for a long time. It's a proven technology that existed in your Linux kernel for at least 20 years, I believe. And a lot of companies been using it for commercial purposes from observability perspective, not necessarily security.
Hmm.
So that's one thing to know. This is not a new thing. Two, because of the way it works, the way it's actually integrated into your operating system or kernel,
Yeah.
it gives you visibility to be able to see everything that happens within your environment. It also makes it challenging. Once you can see everything, now you need to make sure you do it efficiently so you don't impact the performance. And you need to know what data to actually grab because there's so much data that you can observe.
Yeah. And I hear a lot, like, one of the biggest things in the market is like, from security and engineering or DevOps is like agent fatigue. Would you say, like, how would you say like engineers think about like eBPF? Are they more accustomed to it in your experience? Is it newer to them? Because like you said, it's been around for a bit. And I always say it's like, you've deployed this type of thing before.
Yeah, and engineering is already deploying. I mean, if you have observability tools, that means you've been using that technology in your production environment. The rollouts are much simpler because you can integrate it into your build process,
Yep.
the way you build your operating systems and kernels that you deploy. So it makes it easy.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, that's what our experience is too. It's just sometimes some security leaders aren't as familiar with eBPF, and it's very common on like the engineering side. Like,
Exactly.
yeah. So you mentioned something like, everyone talks about this, but like AI is increasing not only the productivity of everyone, we're releasing code faster. Talk to me about how AI you see like impacting, not only like the type of technology you need in place to, mature your program, but also like you need to do more with less, right? That's the whole
Right.
thing with AI. AI, that's the promise of AI. So
Right.
talk to me about a little bit about that.
So it's very interesting world in security right now.
Yep.
Because on one hand, a lot of organizations are asking everybody to do more with resources they have today.
Yeah.
That's the promise of AI. You should be able to go be more efficient, more effective, and scale. And that's true for cybersecurity teams as well. We need to do more with what we have today. At the same time, it's a new cybersecurity problem.
Yep.
So now you have crazy amount of new vendors coming out with all the different approaches to help you solve your AI security problem. Right? So the challenge becomes, what do you do? One, it's pretty much a full-time job just to think about all the new approaches that are coming out and talk to all the vendors,
Yeah.
which does not scale, right? It takes a lot of your mental energy and distracts you from objectives you're trying to accomplish.
Hmm.
So and now in many cases it's a new line item on your budget.
Yeah.
So having a conversation with the leadership about I need more money to become more efficient with AI is many cases is not the easiest conversation to have.
Yeah.
So the way I was thinking through it is if I look at Upwind, Upwind does a lot of different things for me.
Mhm.
And it also going to help us to start in our AI security journey or continue our current journey. Because to me, the first step in solving any cybersecurity challenge is observability, is to know what you have, to build the inventory of your AI agents, your AI capabilities. And that's what Upwind gives us.
Yeah, I feel like the key in always security is first visibility and inventory, but then actionability. Like, what are you going to do with it? And I think like with any AI security product or whatever, you still need like the runtime context. Like AI is basically almost equivalent to runtime, in my point of view. And I hear a lot of the AI companies actually deploying via eBPF. So like,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny that you would have to deploy two different sensors. That would be
Right. And that's actually a very good point. There's a lot of companies nowadays that use ePPF for many different purposes.
yeah,
So if you're not careful, you can end up with half a dozen of products that all use ePPF sensors.
yeah,
And that's not, in my opinion, a good way forward.
yeah. Um, I guess, you and I have known each other, but I guess talk to the audience or myself or whoever about like why did you choose Upwind as a partner to, partner with?
So we did a very extensive POC with multiple companies, and I probably talked to at least a dozen vendors in this space. And there's several different reasons. One, let's start with technology.
Yep.
There's a lot of stakes in the ground. A lot of the cloud security posture management, vulnerability management. These problems have been solved by many different vendors many times,
Mhm.
right? So now I'm looking at what are the new hard problems that Upwind is solving that other vendors may not be able to do a good job at. And I look at it from two different angles. One is application layer, right? Observability into application layer attacks, which are mostly around APIs nowadays,
Mhm.
and be able to detect them at runtime not just network or cloud or file attacks.
Mm.
And that's a really hard problem to solve because with ePBF sensors, you have access to that data, but it is not standardized like with other stacks. It is custom to everybody's application. And grabbing the right data and analyzing that data very efficiently to give me the insights is a very, very hard problem. And very few companies are even trying to solve it.
Mm.
Forget about it actually doing it the right way. So that's one technical differentiator. And the second one, when you run runtime detections, your detection and response team gets a lot of alerts.
Mm.
They cannot scale to look at all of those alerts. And the better the tool is, the more things it will find. So you have this, you get a better tool, now
Yeah.
you need more people. So the real trick is how do you look at multiple alerts and you build a single story of what is actually happening that are much more stronger indicators of potential things you need to investigate.
Yep.
So the goal is to reduce the effort for your SOC team. And that's one of the differentiators for me was about Upwind is your ability to look at things across the full stack,
Yeah.
including application layer, and build those stories.
Yeah, and I'll say, what's probably most vendors wouldn't say in this type of call is like, you told us we had to get better there, I think, early on, because we did an extensive
Yes.
POC. I'm not going to say the length, but we did an extensive POC, and you said, here's the problem. You need to solve this problem and aggregate these signals better, like you're doing an okay job. And I would say, that's been the great thing about, for me personally, like building a startup, is working with partners and like truly getting in the weeds and be like, okay, like we don't have X or we're not good at Y and we need to get better here. And I think that was really nice about our extensive POC is like, the super transparency of like, hey, like you guys are not here, you need to get a lot better or, we're not going to go with you. And so I appreciate that a lot. And I think like what you said earlier is really important. And it was a good learning for us like early on in the journey is like, while you said these things have been solved, we still need to deliver those. And now it's like a challenging thing from like a, engineering capacity perspective, right? We had to deliver what already been solved because you need those things, but you also deliver the next gen of things. And, I'm really proud of our team because like they really fast speed of delivery. And that's like something we pride ourselves on. And like, we work with closely with customers who are saying like, hey, here's why this is, they need this. And then our engineering team delivers.
Yeah, and that's what we saw in the POC. The rate of delivery of new capabilities was very impressive. And that's what made me and everybody else feel comfortable that, feature parity is not very important in your case because we've seen how fast you deliver.
Yeah. And I would say like, there's so many startups, everyone's obviously telling you everything. And the only way to do it is to actually show it. And that's actually why we have this long POC, right? We're like, hey, we will, we're happy to go a little bit longer and keep showing you that week over week or every couple of weeks, we're going to be able to deliver, key criteria that you guys felt passionate about. And honestly, it honestly helps us in other, every other aspect of our product journey. You talked a little bit about API security as being like kind of like with layer 7. Why do you think API security never became like a category on its own? Like, why do you think it belongs in
So,
CNAPP?
and it's going back to how many vendors we have and how many approaches.
Mm.
It's not feasible, in my opinion, for me to go and get a niche product in every area. It just can't.
Yeah.
So to me, API security is one of the things that integrates really, really well with the CNAPP solution, especially when you have such a strong runtime observability. And the journey we're on is one, inventory. Your ePBF technology gives me ability to see all of my APIs across all of my environments. Two, what I'm really focusing on is understanding not only what we have, but what data flows, finding PII data in
Yeah.
the APIs and understanding where it is, where it goes between different components within our overall environment.
Yeah. That's a huge one. Well, I think that's pretty much all I had for today. Anything you wanted to chat about?
Um, no, I mean, it's been a very amazing journey with Upwind. I think both organizations learned a lot.
Yep.
We definitely learned a lot from you and thinking about how we're going to mature our program using Upwind technology. And hopefully it's been beneficial for you as well, guys.
It's been amazing. Thanks so much.
Thank you.